Well, hey, beauties, we're back with Talk and Tapinar, and wonderful Kandiee Campbell's back again with me. And we've decided actually we're going to bolster each other in our efforts to teach and share all these energy tools to help you with whatever you're dealing with. And so Candie's going to be here whenever possible to help us teach about tapping. And then I'm going to join her a couple times a month on her Awaken Hope show. And so if you're new to us, please tune in. Candiee has an amazing radio show slash podcast that you can find pretty much wherever you find your podcasts, called Awaken Hope. And we were just discussing her latest interview recording that she just did before hopping on here. And we thought we'd grab the topic and go with it today and see how we can help you with a topic that I find usually comes down to pretty much everything we start to get upset about. In the end, we start talking to ourselves about not being enough, not being good enough, or, I know in my world with a lot of the women that I work with, and probably you too, Candiee, where we find that we're just not enough. We don't know enough. We're not thin enough, pretty enough, knowledgeable enough, educated enough, good enough, right? Whatever. And so let's just dial that down, Candiee, and tell me about this discussion you had and the attachment styles that we all exhibit in our life.
Well, I just recorded an episode, so I don't want to give away too much, but we'll kind of give the synopsis of it, because I really it's about attachment styles, and we all have them. There are 4 different attachment styles. You have your secure, you have your avoidant, you have your or anxious, sorry, and then your avoidant, dismissive, and then there's the 4th one is a blend of the anxious and the avoidant. It's a combination of the two. And depending on how you're raised, what your caregivers, your parents did or didn't do, is going to impact how secure you feel when it comes to connecting with people. And it's not just your romantic relationships. It can impact your friendships. It impacts how you show up with coworkers or with anybody. But the guest I had, she's got, 25 years plus experience of dealing with attachment styles. And one of the things that she offered is that you can begin to, for example, I'll pinpoint myself. When I was studying in psychology, before I got my master's and working on my doctorate, attachment styles were always very fascinating for me. Because I knew I was a combination. I'm the combination. I was a little bit of the anxious attachment. I wanted the relationships. I wanted the connections, but I also had the avoidant. So if you got too close to me or you came on too strong, I'd run, I'd bolt. It's not a good combination to have, but the more I studied it, the more I realized, oh my gosh, that is so much me. I began to work with mentoring and with studying and learning. I began to figure out ways that I could become more securely attached. Yes, if you have an attachment like the blend, or you're anxious or you're an avoidant, you can begin to change that. It takes a little work. And the advice that the guest offered was, first of all, say, for example, your need is you don't feel enough. Okay. And the majority, that is a core wound for most people. The root of most people's challenges in this world are they don't feel enough. They received messages at an early age that reinforce that belief that they aren't enough. Exactly. So you have the core wound, and your greatest need is you don't feel enough. You find the opposite of that, which, if you don't feel enough, the opposite is I am enough. And you take that And then you look back on and you identify 10 memories that reinforce the belief that you are enough.
Wow.
You take that, you write them down, and then you record them. You can record them on a voice memo, it doesn't matter. You play it for yourself. It's just something you're listening to. Okay, for example, you're enough with a coworker, you were enough with your relationship, with your significant other, or with your kids. Does not matter. Find 10 simple memories that reinforce that you're enough. You write them down, you record them, and then you listen to this recording for an average of 21 days. It takes 21 days to rebuild, reinforce a neural pathway. So you have, in our brain, we have neural pathways, and we can go down a certain pattern if we have less than ideal patterns. But if you want to retrain that, you need to start doing it for a minimum of 3 weeks, 21 days. And you listen to the recording either in the morning or right before you go to bed, because those are the times of day where you are most suggestible. You're in more the alpha brainwave or even the theta. And that is where your brain's going to take it in.
Excellent.
And take it. But I've added an extra thing. Candiee and I were talking before we started recording. The other thing that you can do when you're listening to the recording, you can begin to tap. So you're reinforcing that belief that you are enough. It doesn't matter. You do collarbone, you can do all of it,
Right, exactly. So if you're tapping, so I want to chime in on this because I wrote this in the exercises in my book, The Woo Woo Way, and some of you have those. Highly recommend you read all the stories. And one of my friends said, I don't bother with the lessons. I just read the stories because they're so good. Well, she's a coach. She didn't need the lessons, right? She knew all about it. But there is a part of it in the back called your playbook. Instead of, having a workbook, it's play. And what I've done is I've taken a lot of the different things that we've learned over the years, and many of you have too, and added tapping to them. And because it reinforces everything. So in this idea of, first of all, writing down, this is, I think, both of us, Candiee, will always be telling people to write. Get your journal, get the notebooks, however you do it. Some of you I know need to do it digitally on your phone or whatever, but if you can do pen to paper, it's even more powerful. It still works the other way, but more powerful with the pen or pencil, doodle draw, all of that. But you're writing down these 10 memories. And I want to back up just a bit because you can start tapping on the idea of the negative side first. I'm just not enough. I'm not good enough. And it comes up for me in procrastination, which I had initially learned was perfectionism. If I can't be perfect, why bother? And then realized it was also my inner rebel, that part of me that says, don't tell me what to do. And she stands, says, I'm not going there. And then I finally got the third lesson, which is so true. It is the archetype of the addict, and I am addicted to avoidance. And I have that whole avoidant attachment. I definitely have the blend. I have so much of all this other stuff, but the idea of avoiding. So I think for myself, I would start out with maybe even writing that down first. It's like, I avoid X, Y, Z. And I just avoid sitting here and doing the work I need to do, doing these recordings, doing lots of different things. I just avoid it. You'll find me cleaning out a cupboard before I do it's ridiculous, right? And so I would just want to say that part, because you can start tapping on, oh my God, I'm so worthless. I can't get this done. I always avoid it. I put it off, whatever is in your head about what's not good enough for you. Maybe you're not earning enough money. Maybe you're not feeling like you're a good enough spouse or mom or, student, whatever. Get that out of your head. And then, as Candiee said, write down 10 times you can remember that you were enough. And what comes to my mind is this idea of, I cook a really good dinner.
Mhm.
I pretty good with plants and I'm good taking care of my cat. Whatever you can come up with. And I know once you start, you'll have more than 10. So write as many as you can, but repeat that 10
Mhm.
on a daily basis, or twice a day is even better. Morning and night is really better. And just working through it, and then putting them where you can see them. So maybe that's when you put it on your phone, but
Mhm.
also print it out and stick it right where you're going to see it on your mirror, maybe because you're brushing your teeth twice a day. Why not put it right there, right? And
Mhm.
then you would tap through, I am enough.
Mhm.
I have this great memory of helping my friend, and she really came through something because I helped her and
Mhm.
doing all of that. I am enough. And
Yeah.
here's the big key too is I am. It is the
Mm.
most important part of the whole thing. It's
Yep.
not I'm gonna be enough. It is I am enough because we came into this world
Mhm.
and our little infant selves knew nothing but being present until we got the onslaught from the people around us and from our environment that had us create these attachment styles and, the survival patterns, right? Being able to cope with where we were in our lives at any given time. And so I love this idea, Candiee. Have you done the exercise yet? Have you written out like 10 things?
Um, that I was talking about.
Yeah, like I am enough, or what would your list be something different?
Oh, no, well, I admit I have not done that exercise. I did something similar
Well, you
when I
just
was
interviewed her,
working.
so I think it's
Yeah,
kind of
I
like too
haven't
late.
done you know, yeah, I just had the interview today, the recording today, but I did something that was kind of similar previously. I just didn't do 10, but it is important that you identify you have a wound, and
Yes,
usually, or a need, is basically it is. You have a need. You need to feel enough. You need to feel, you don't want to feel trapped. You feel secure. You feel freedom. It does
hmm
not matter. Each attachment style has their own need. And the more you identify those needs, and you reinforce, like Sandy was saying, you reinforce what your need is, but also what the opposite is. So
right.
you can tap on what the opposite to start, or what the need is. I'm not enough.
Yes,
And then you tap on the opposite, I am enough. So you get kind of that reinforcement going.
exactly, exactly. It is so powerful, because we do know that with the tapping,
Mm-hmm.
we are definitely creating that electrical disconnect from that brain going on a hamster wheel, spinning, spinning about all the reasons why
Mm-hmm.
you have this attachment. And so when you can, spin it back around, calm it down with the tapping,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just really, you can even say, I'm just open to be open, finding the times when I was enough and
Mm-hmm.
understanding how often I really am.
Yeah.
And whether it's enough or it's some other issue. Like, when I think about some of the things that you and I help women with, help others with in our coaching and in uh, therapy, there's a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, and
Mm-hmm.
that self-doubt, and that's when, again, it rolls right back into I don't know enough. you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating how that'll happen, right?
And one of the things that we discerned in this interview is it's not about you identify something. Say, okay, so for me, I identified long ago that I had the blend of the two, the attachment and the
Mhm.
avoidant. And you look at it and you go, oh my gosh, if you just look at the facts, it's daunting. It's like, okay, you could go down the road of I'm broken, I run, I want, but I'm not there. I mean,
Yeah.
at avoidance don't want to feel trapped. Anxious want that connection,
Yes.
but we want we prefer the deep connections, not superficial. But when you start being aware of how you relate to people, it
Mhm.
can be very daunting, and it can look like, oh my gosh, there's something seriously wrong with me in my relationships. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It clarified a lot of how I interacted or didn't
Mhm.
interact and why I did what I did. But
Yeah.
just know this, you can begin to change that. You don't have to remain the blend of the two, or the anxious or the avoidant. You can begin to do things that can take you back to being secure.
Yeah.
When you're secure, when your attachment is secure, you think about it, you you can create that and replicate that for your kids, your loved ones. You can begin to do things with communication, with setting boundaries. Because I asked her, I'm like, okay, so my question is, say you I'm the blend, but I have not, but if I have a spouse or a significant other that's got uh anxious attachment, but I don't want to replicate that. I don't want to continue that. How do you do that? And she was talking about, she said, you need to identify your wants, and you have to put those wants out there. You have to communicate. Communication is number one.
Right.
And if you can communicate that, because communication can come in many different ways. She gave a description of what happened with a client of hers, and they went home and they believed they were going to support each other. And the wife came back next session, before she sat down in that chair, she was like, you didn't communicate, you didn't support me at all. And the husband was like, what? And he was just like, what? I did,
Yeah.
I did this, I did that. And she was basically, the communication, the expectation of what her meaning for support was different from what the husband interpreted.
Yeah, she couldn't, get that across. And it sounds to me exactly like when we think about the inner child, where
Mm-hmm.
this is where the voices come from. I mean, mine is always like, oh, poor me, and the little girl who feels abandoned. And I have huge FOMO, that fear of missing out. And I've seriously worked on that, because my little 4-year-old comes out and just like cries and weeps and like, I want to go. And it's ridiculous. So, it's better now, but I actually feel her getting triggered, and I'm able to tap and calm her down. And like, what I realize is that that part of me needs attention, and I need to take her for a walk or something. And I know people, you might not really get what I'm talking about, but if you think about the idea that all your inner self is comprised of all your younger selves,
Mm-hmm.
all the times that you experienced different wounds, different traumas, different experiences that weren't so pleasant are there, along with the good ones. They're all there.
Mm-hmm.
And the youngest ones really didn't have a style to figure things out. There was no logic there because we're too young. And
Right.
it could be even pre-verbal. So we take on these adaptive things, we call it an adaptive child, rather than the free child who can go and play. So
Mm-hmm.
these attachments come along as a way for us to survive when we're little, but they're
Mm-hmm.
still there. And that little voice comes out. And you might hear yourself and how you communicate with someone, and it's not registering with that person. They're either getting PO'd at you or they think you're a little nuts. They don't get it. Like, you're talking crazy to me now. Now we have to look at that. Like, where are we coming from?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things, Candiee, that comes to mind is I have this Russian doll, the stacking doll.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that analogy before of how, excuse me while I walk away from the camera. So everybody, if you're just listening, I have one of those, they call them stacking dolls or nesting dolls. And the idea is that inside of here is another doll, and inside of that one is another one. This is a handmade, it's wooden, and I realize it's not polished, so it's harder to get open, but it keeps going and it keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get triggered by something and we get upset about something, we are not really upset about the thing we think we are.
So
We are
true.
actually responding to a memory that this little tiny character who's about an inch big inside is the one getting triggered. And she's trying to protect you. She's trying to protect us. And she doesn't know. She only knows that memory and the fear that comes along. It's not safe. It's not secure. So when maybe we don't feel good enough, we don't feel safe because we
Mm-hmm.
can't be as good as we think we should. And should, that's the word that comes in. If you hear yourself saying, I should be better at this, I should have known better, I should have, whatever your circumstances, whether it's your work, your career, your family life, your friendships and relationships, whatever, you hear yourself saying those would have, could have, should have things,
Mm-hmm.
that is when you need to identify when you do things well and write them down. I
Yeah.
love that idea of writing everything down. And I will tell you over and over again, have a journal, use it, whether you just draw pictures or you actually put words. And then, as Candiee said, with what is your guest's name so that we can watch for this to come up on your episode?
Oh, Fayez Gibson. She's the personal development school.com.
Oh,
And
wonderful. I
it'll
love that.
probably be, ideally, it should be airing, I want to say the 22nd of June.
Of
Let me look
June?
at my calendar.
Yeah.
Now it's subject to change, but
No worries there. But, just think about this whole idea that we have these
oh,
attachment styles where,
no,
we get
29th.
nervous about things, we get anxious, we worry. When I think about avoidance too, I think about the people who never did get quite connected with their mother or even both parents, and they escape into their head all the time. These are the
Mhm.
geniuses, actually. They are very creative, but they will disappear. They'll be in front of you, but they won't be with you. They'll be very focused. If they get into any kind of project or anything, they're gone. They're right there. But they will often just not be with you because they're in their head all the time. That is a big avoidance style, thinking of something else. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
anxiousness that can happen can be really brutal sometimes.
Well, the anxiousness can come from the inconsistency. If
Yeah,
you have a caregiver or parent that, it's not to say that they didn't love you and they weren't there, they didn't meet your needs, but it was inconsistent. It was not
right.
necessarily, like the secure, you're going to have that. You have a need, it gets met, you get reinforced that your
Yeah,
needs are important. But anxious, you have needs, and sometimes they're met and sometimes they're not met. It's that inconsistency that builds the anxious.
right. So you can be that little one in the crib, crying. Maybe you have a wet diaper, maybe you're hungry,
Mhm.
maybe you don't feel good, but adults don't know. And I don't know if they still do this, but if you were raised back in the days of let her cry, she'll cry it out.
Mhm.
You may have spent all night long crying, and it with no one to come and comfort you, no one to tell you you were okay, even if they just hovered their hand over you and whispered, didn't have to pick you up. So that kind of thing can happen. And then there's the stuff around, um, you're going to sit there and eat that food. If you have to sit there all night, you're going to eat that. I used to sit there for hours and hours because I didn't want to eat that food. These are things that happen to us that then, it just ingrained in us so often, so often. So I wonder if we can do a little demo and some tapping here, as we talk about these things.
I
What comes up for
I
you in your anxiousness, the anxious style?
Oh, I want deep connections. I do desire deep connections. But again, like I said, I'm a blend of the two. So I want them, but I also, if someone gets too close and comes on too strong, I will bolt. I don't do that. I'm more secure now, but the what showed up for me was I wanted the deep connections, but if you got too close, you came in too strong. I was
Yeah,
like, I put up my guard. I'm like, nope,
yeah,
don't want that, or I bolt. And it kind of was that self-fulfilling prophecy of, see, they're going to abandon me. They're going to, I'm not good enough. It reinforced that I'm not good enough, but I was doing it to myself. It wasn't because I didn't know how to express what I needed and get
of
those.
course. So let's go back to that. When you think about that, and you want deep connection, what do you need in a connection? What is that? What is the
To know
desire, the deep need?
that I'm valued, to know that the person I'm in relationship with cares for me, not isn't going to just up and leave, and is going to wants to take the time to help me find what's going to ultimately build my attachment, my security through different types of actions. Everybody's different and what they need, but for
Yeah,
me, it's knowing that that person, that friend, that significant other, whatever, whoever it is they're there. They're going to be there no matter what. They're weathering the storm with me. And even if I act out or do something that, one may look at and go, what's wrong with you? They're not bolting for the door and going, can't handle that. I can't,
they stay.
they stay. They love you
Abandoned.
regardless. And
Yeah.
they're,
So, it takes you back probably to a time when you didn't get that. And so that's where we get triggered into when that wall will come up and you'll either put your guard up or you'll bolt because you don't want to get hurt again. You don't
Mhm.
want that to happen again, right? It is, everybody, it's the thing that is we're really triggered by. We might be triggered by that person right there that we really want the connection with, but we're freaking scared to death that this is not going to be the one, that they're going to abandon us. Something's going to happen. I had this happen in my beautiful relationship I have now. I didn't, it was just so strange. And I can talk about that later another time. But the thing is, recognizing it And so when you can listen to your voice in your head and figure out what that is, or listen to how you speak with others and how your body feels
Mhm.
when this happens. Like you're going to feel it somewhere in your body, right? When you feel that, oh my God, I'm going to bolt. I got to get out of here. Where do you feel that?
Usually it's in my solar plexus.
Yeah, right there.
And it
So,
just
you're
wants,
going to
and
go,
I get
oh
that
my God, I'm
knot
going
in there, and I'm like that uncomfortable feeling like, oh, it's, that's,
yeah.
I had it time and time again, and I just went right past it because I didn't recognize that that was my body's way of saying hello.
Right. Yeah. And we've talked about that before. So if begin to be aware of the sensations in your body because it is a message. And usually we bypass it, we go right into our head. But I just wrote down a few words, Candy, and I just want to kind of like do some tapping and then
Okay.
we'll shift into the positive reinforcement kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, so let me see. And just take a breath. Just kind of breathe in, nice and soft, go down deep into your body, out of your busy mind. Everyone watching and or listening, you can do the same thing. You can tap along. If you are in a car, please pay attention. You can follow along and just tap the side of your hand on the steering wheel or tap your collarbone, especially at a stop sign, stop light. But this is recorded, so you can use this anytime and put in your own words. Think about your own situation right now. So drift into this whole idea of I have needs and I want them. I really want them. So often something stops me. Okay. So let's just start tapping. I really want this deep connection
I really want this deep connection
because I haven't felt valued
because I haven't felt valued,
and I want that.
and I want that.
I want to know they care,
I want to know they care,
that they're there for me.
that they are there for me.
I want to be acknowledged.
I want to be acknowledged.
I want to be valued.
I want to be valued.
I want to be seen.
I want to be seen.
I want to be heard.
I want to be heard.
I want to be seen and heard for me,
I want to be seen and heard for me,
for the me that I am,
for the me that I am,
not who I'm supposed to be,
not for whom I'm supposed to be,
not who they think I should be.
not for who they think I should be.
Seen and heard and valued
Seen and heard and valued
for the real me.
for the real me.
But then I get triggered.
But then I get triggered.
It feels like they're too close.
It feels like they're too close,
I'm on too strong.
coming on too strong.
I can't be here now.
I can't be here now.
I'm going to put up my guard.
I'm going to put up my guard.
I think I'm just going to bolt.
I think I'm going to just bolt.
Got to get out of here.
Got to get out of here.
They'll just abandon me anyway.
They will just abandon me anyway.
I feel this knot in my gut,
I feel this knot in my gut,
right in my solar plexus.
right in my solar plexus.
This is too much.
This is too much.
I think I just got to get out
I think I just got to get out
because it's too hard.
because it's too hard.
I really want this,
I really want this,
but I don't think it's going to work
but I don't think it's going to work
because I don't feel valued.
because I don't feel valued.
I don't think they see me.
I don't think they see me.
So I must not be good enough.
So I must not be good enough.
That's it. I'm just not good enough.
That's it. I'm just not good enough.
I'm just going to honor how I feel
I'm just going to honor how I feel
because I've been through this before.
because I've been through this before.
And sometimes it's just too much to take.
And sometimes it's just too much to take.
So I'm just going to honor that.
I'm just going to honor that.
And I'm open to seeing my own value.
And I'm open to seeing my own value.
Open to knowing that I can be acknowledged,
I'm open to knowing that I can be acknowledged,
that I can be strong,
that I can be strong,
I can be me.
I can be me.
I don't have to put up a wall,
I don't have to put up a wall,
because if I do,
because if I do,
nothing gets in or out.
nothing gets in or out.
No one will really see me that way.
No one will really see me that way.
So I'm open to letting it down
I'm open to letting it down
and allowing love in,
and allowing love in,
allowing the care to come,
allowing the care to come,
knowing that whoever is with me is there for me,
knowing that whoever is with me is there for me,
that they care.
that they care.
They are acknowledging me.
They are acknowledging me.
And it's okay. I am safe.
And it's okay. I am safe.
I don't have to pull back.
I don't have to pull back.
I can be me.
I could be me. Hmm.
All right, so just take a nice breath and check in. How do you feel in your solar plexus?
It's very relaxed.
Okay. So just breathe. Let's do a little bit more on the positive side. And everyone, if you're doing this for yourself and you don't feel ready for positive, you do not have to fix it. Just do that part about I honor who I am. I honor how I feel. And that is enough. But we're going to dive into it. All right, another breath. I know deep down
I know deep down
that I am valued
that I am valued
right here and right now.
right here and right now.
I am seen.
I am seen.
I am heard.
I am heard.
And I am allowed to be me.
And I am allowed to be me.
I know that I am cared for.
I know that I am cared for.
And I can write a list.
And I can write a list.
I can think of 10 times
I can think of 10 times
when others have actually valued me,
when others have actually valued me.
times when I've been acknowledged,
Times when I've been acknowledged.
times when people have really pointed out the good things in me.
Times when others have actually pointed out. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The good things in me.
The good things in me.
Maybe it was for a dinner I cooked
Maybe it was for a dinner I cooked
or something fun that I planned
or something fun that I planned
or those beautiful flowers that grow
or those beautiful flowers that grow
because I planted them.
because I planted them.
And I know that I am acknowledged by the people in my life,
And I know that I am acknowledged by the people in my life,
from children and adults.
from children and adults.
And so I need to acknowledge me, myself.
And so I need to acknowledge me, myself.
I need to put away that inner critic,
I need to put away that inner critic.
make it go sit down,
Make it go sit down.
make it be quiet,
Make it be quiet
because it's been lying to me.
because it's been lying to me.
I am enough.
I am enough.
And I cherish the connections that I have.
And I cherish the connections that I have.
Letting go of fear,
Letting go of fear,
feeling safe and secure
feeling safe and secure
right here and right now.
right here and right now.
I love myself
I love myself
and I love my life.
and I love my life.
And a nice deep breath. Did anything else come up?
No, now I need a nap.
I love it how you yawn. So everybody, that's the key. You know the energy is moving when you get a yawn, a sigh, a cough, a sneeze, other bodily noises and functions. My hands are tingling. Yeah, you might feel that energy sort of moving through your body, and just, give yourself compassion and the love that you feel that you've been missing. I know I personally spent a lot of time in this anxiousness. I talk about the idea of my own pretty little lie, where I was, doing so well in my professional life, really doing well, and had friends and traveled and did all these things. But inside, I was a wreck because
Mhm.
of what was going on at home with my now late husband and all the things. I write about that and I talk about it a lot. But the idea is we all have this part of us that gets worried, that starts going into its head, and we will either ruminate about the past and now what we could have, should have done, or what somebody said, or we didn't do, or whatever. And then we worry about the future. Candiee and I talked a lot about this last time, where we have this fixation on what's coming up when what we need to do is be focused right where we are. And that's when that inner child can come and we can just say, okay, I'm going to do this right now. You can go play. I'll be with you later, right? Or you can even go take a nap. I need to do this now. And that's another thing I want to point out too. Sometimes we can just stop. I like to tap on the collarbone. It's the first easy thing for me. And so you can just stop, and when you're noticing things comes up, whether it's a thought in your head or a feeling in your body, often it can just be feeling off. It's a weird day today. And you just stop and ask, what is this? What's going on? What do I need to know? Fairly quickly, if you get in this habit of tapping, it's going to come to you and you're going to know. And if it doesn't come right away, you can just say, okay, am I tired? Do I need a nap?
Mhm.
It might just be that you just need 10 minutes. Or am I hungry?
Mhm.
Do I need water? That's it. I need water. What else might come to you? And if it doesn't come right away, you don't have an answer. You will feel better because the tapping brings you out of that weirdness and the thought process. But later on in the day, it's going to come to you, or the next day, tomorrow. But if you tap again before bed, you will release any more of that tension and anxiety that's there. Now, if we add in those 10 things that we're asking you to write down and you tap those, I am good enough.
Mhm.
I'm a pretty good cook. Or, I'm not really that great of a cook, but I'm creative in other ways.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do that. Create a list of 10 things that you actually value about yourself. 10 things.
You need them. You need to reinforce the belief that you are enough by the memories of things that you did. And they can be small. They don't have to be these big, gigantic memories. They can be something really simple. And
Yes. Really tiny.
the more
Yeah.
you identify that, the
Yeah.
easier it will
And if
be.
you think, if you look for the things that you enjoy, what do you love to do? Because you love it, you're going to be good at that. So it doesn't mean you're an expert or anything, but if you love to go biking, or, running on a trail, I love to power walk down in nature. That is something I can put on my list because it's a joyful thing. So think about that.
Mhm.
If you like watching Netflix or all the other, oh gosh, there's so many streaming channels now. But what's your thing? And what do you get out of that? Is it joy and peace and satisfaction? Those are your lists. What satisfies you the most?
Hmm?
The more you can do that and you tap it in, the more that will come to you. The more joy, love, satisfaction will come. That's the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Simple,
You
simple.
got to feel it before it shows up. I mean, and you've got to be able to, the
Yes,
belief that you are, for example, the belief that you are enough, you've got to feel it. It's not going to feel normal when you start when you first
effort.
start.
Mhm.
It's going to feel very unfamiliar, and our brain does not like things that are unfamiliar. It
Right.
wants to take you back to what's familiar. So if you're used to telling yourself, for example, I'm not enough, and you begin to change that belief with I am enough, understand that your brain is going to put up all the stops to get you to
Yes.
go back to feeling what is familiar. And
Yeah,
it's
your
going
subconscious
to,
is not going to believe it. You have to, that's why I always say, tap out whatever the
Mhm.
negative stuff is and then write those positives down. Actually, I just wrote about that last week for my Substack newsletter. By the way, everybody, please subscribe and go there. I'm writing about Father's Day today, but the idea of affirmations and why they don't always work. The number one key is getting into the feeling of what it's going to be like when you get what is you want. You want that deep connection. How are you going to feel when you have it? What's that thing you're going to
well,
have,
I
right?
did learn something today. Theas was talking about how the conscious mind deals in words.
Yep.
The subconscious mind, and I think I knew this, but it got reinforced. The subconscious mind deals in emotions.
Yes.
So depending on what you're saying, so if you're saying I don't want to do that, the brain just hears a different message.
Yeah. Yep.
Because, but she said if you paint a picture of what you want, meaning you use descriptive words to describe what you want,
Yeah.
one, your point is going to come across, your need is going to be understood more, and also it's going to be very clear about what you're seeking or what you're needing, because you draw, I would say the majority, but a lot of us are visual learners. So if you can paint a picture, you're going
Yeah.
to get your point across so much more.
So much more clearly. And, if you're more of audio, you can use music. You can move to the music that you love and imagine the feeling
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to have when you get what you want. And the more you reinforce that, the better. The emotions are your signal. And there's this whole idea, we're all energy, everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
Interacting with others, this is why this attachment stuff affects everybody else, because it's energy.
Yes.
So if you want to create the best in your life, you have to raise that vibration of your energy. So we need to, tap out the negative stuff that's very low vibrations. That's why it's down in the lower chakras, and then raise that up so that you do feel good enough, worthy enough. I heard one of your guests say we don't like to use the word worthy anymore because we don't believe we're worthy. So we can use something else, right? We can create the words that work.
Mm-hmm.
Create the word that work for you. And we're word people, love to write, love to do all that. Bring
There's
that
no,
into your life.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's all
Mhm.
individual, and it's all about what works for you. I mean, yes, Sandy and I do, we give you the tools, we give you things, words to use, but you tweak it to you. You
Yeah.
find what resonates with you in a word, and if that's what you need to use, so be it. Don't
Mhm.
feel like, don't get hung up on, well, I didn't say the right word, or I didn't do it, or maybe I don't know what to say. There's
Yeah.
many a times I just go tapping and I'm just like, okay, I have no words right now, but
Yep.
I'm just going to tap. And
And tapping without words is very powerful too. So it's all good. It's really all good. Be able to write down 10 things.
mhm,
I had to do this for 20 things in exercise one time. It was unbelievably crazy trying to do that. So just look back, even if you go all the way back in your life and find something, because sometimes we don't think anything's going right. And just take a moment, look around. Are you on the street? No, I think I have a place to live. I hope most of you do. If you don't, reach out. We're going to help you somehow. But let's take a look at that. Let's
mhm,
take a look at where we are and how far we've come. List the things that you've already done that have gotten you so far. And, we know that the bad stuff that may have happened in the past that we felt was bad actually is why we are where we are, because we had to have that lesson. They're lessons. And,
mhm.
I remember Oprah, and we'll close on this one. Oprah said years ago that she had learned that Earth was like a school and we're always getting lessons. And she said, I woke up in the morning and I said, Dear God, no more lessons today, right? Do there have to be another lesson today? Because she was getting hit with a lot of them, right? And we get a lot. So just know that and go, well, I think I got an A+ today on that one, and just give yourself credit.
Yep. Lots of love, lots of compassion, and be okay right
Be
where you
okay. Be okay. Okay, everybody, this has been so much fun. We'll be back next week with another episode, and we'll pick a topic and really dive into some good tapping. And meanwhile, I'm going to get on Candie's show. Actually, I'll be on there tomorrow being interviewed. It won't come out right away, but I hope you'll follow both of us. And actually, please reach out. Let us know how we can help you. What would you like to tap on? Maybe
Yeah,
you can come be a guest and be a part of this.
sounds perfect.
Okay. So meanwhile, we see you, we see your beauty, we see your light, shine brightly.